My name is Quinta Mbori, and I work at the Association of Media Women in Kenya. I'm the executive director. I can see very familiar faces in the room. I'm glad there are people who have walked the journey with us. And we just want to thank you for joining our programs. So somebody might ask, why is AMWIK doing nature crimes? Remember, I mentioned we are big on developing your skills around thematic areas. The second thing, we are also big on speaking for the voiceless. Who will speak on behalf of the animals? Who will speak on behalf of the lions and the rhinos who are being murdered right, left, and center? Do you think they have the energy to go to Nairobi streets and hold placards? But I've seen so many AI-generated videos of baboons complaining. Maybe that is something that we need to think about. Yeah, who will speak on behalf? Some of the teachers and creative stories we need to think about. How can we come up with award-winning, earth-shaking, trailblazing stories that not only bring impact but can also build your profile, put you up there as a specialist. So sometimes, given the complexity of the work that is before us, you may have to be a little bit innovative. Hence our idea of thinking about how we can use the digital platform to support and amplify our storytelling. Over and above that, anybody who does not have digital presence right now and they're a journalist, you are a hoax. You need to investigate yourself. You need to call yourself for a meeting. What are you, if non-journalists are telling stories, albeit unethically and all? Okay? Because the kind of content I see online right now, sometimes it is nerve-wracking, it is irritating, it borders on, I don't know, something is extremely wrong because the content that is selling, the questions they're asking, the videos we see, you can imagine you with the training and the experience and the background, what you can achieve, how much more can you achieve, okay? So the digital platform is one of our biggest resources, okay? So I'm glad that we are here to amplify voices of the voiceless, okay? We are here to amplify stories that are underreported, stories that are under-resourced, because who writes about nature crimes? At AMWIK, we don't just focus on the work, we also focus on your mental status, on your health, and that's why we brought in a mental health expert also to have a session with us on how we can ground ourselves. Despite everything that we are going through, despite covering the traumatic events, despite going through numerous threats on our lives, we can still work around those issues. There are tips and tricks on how you can manage. And so at the end of this training, you will be one wholesome journalist equipped with the right tools, equipped with the right information, and also mentally and psychologically prepared to handle the task ahead. Senior.
My name is Judy Kaberia, a multiple award-winning journalist. I would also like to say I'm a former executive director of the Association of Media Women in Kenya, and I'm very pleased to come here as a trainer. I've done a lot of work on nature crimes, especially investigative reporting. A lot of times journalists confuse nature crimes with the usual environmental reporting. But nature crime, we see there are organized crimes where we see criminal elements of, syndicates or perpetrators, and they have an elaborate network. And there is a big financial gain in everything that they do. So the biggest challenge we've had is trying to explain the journalists to be able to differentiate usual reporting of environmental crimes and nature crimes. So the nature crime, basically, you have to look for the criminal element. We have to look for the organization part of it because these are normally organized criminal groups. And these groups, of course, they have an elaborate network that they used to be, to be able to get this financial gain and to be able to commit these crimes. One of the things we've been doing first is for them to understand the role that they play as journalists. And their main role here, especially in Kajiado County, is for them to be able to educate the community about what the nature crimes are. Like, you realize some of the crimes committed, like encroachment, consumption of bushmeat, illegal mining, poaching, all these things are happening in their county. So you realize that they have a very big role to play, first to inform the community, to educate the community, and at the same time they have a very big role to play to try and also stop deterrence measure by exposing the cartels, by exposing these illegal networks, by exposing these criminals, because at the end of the day it is the community that suffers.
My name is Victor Juma. I'm a journalist and founder of Bus Radio Sauti ya Kajiado, a community-based radio station operating in Kajiado Town. At the county level, I double up as the secretary of Kajiado County Media Association. At the national level, I double up as the country coordinator of Association of Kenya Community Media Operators, that is ACMO. We are being trained on nature crimes. First of all, it is very important for a journalist to understand what nature crime is all about. Before you delve into writing stories, telling your story from your own county or from your own perspective, it is very crucial and important for a journalist like me who has been trained on nature crimes to disseminate this information in a rightful manner. For instance, I work at Bus Radio, and Bus Radio has got over 300,000 listeners. Now, these are people who live within our locality, and they are also double up as listeners, and some of them are also victims of these circumstances of nature crimes. Now, my mandate as a journalist who has been trained on nature crimes is to ensure that I'm packaging this information in a language that the local community will understand, in a way that they will relate, and also I will be engaging, or I will be talking to experts and opinion shapers within the locality where these issues of nature crimes has been affecting members of the community.
My name is Emily Kenik. I work for KBC Radio. I'm here today with the convenience of AMWIK that has helped us today get enlightened on issues to do with matters nature crimes. Here in Kajiado, there are so many disadvantaged school-going children that they are not able to compete well with other children in other parts of the country because of issues that have been created by us humans. We've encroached animal habitats, hence destabilizing the ecosystem, and here we are now witnessing wildlife-human conflict. So for me, I feel sad when a child misses school, or when a child gets that low grade because he or she didn't get enough lessons or enough lessons to compete with other children in other parts of the country.
My name is Boniface Opany. I'm the station manager at Radio Domas FM, a community radio station operating here in Kajiado and covering the larger Kajiado North and Kajiado West sub-counties. The engagement was important for me, particularly because as a community radio journalist, I am part of the community. And whenever there is an issue within the community, then it means that as part of the community, this issue directly affects me. So then it becomes my priority to be able to engage with this issue in looking for community solutions. So this engagement has been very important for me, and I think it's going to support also my production of feature stories as well as radio talk shows, and in my community also engagement forums, to just be able to disseminate to our communities the need to understand nature crime, because there are things that are being done within communities that they feel like are just normal. However, they contribute to nature crimes and of course also to disruptions of ecological trends.
My name is Soila Rasha. I am a freelance journalist. I write for both local and international outlets, Talk Africa among them. what has stood out for me from the facilitators is how they have localized their stories, how they have localized the examples. Many are the times that we give global examples, but for our facilitators today, they have localized the stories to Kajiado County. So that has really stood out for me. Something else that I've learned is to differentiate the difference between environmental crimes and the nature crimes. Okay, some of the skills that I have gained is to how to conduct in-depth reporting. It's not just investigative journalism, but how to do in-depth reporting, how to verify my sources, how to fact check my sources, how to use data to back up my stories.
Okay, so my name is Marvel. I am a communications consultant and an actress. What I usually do, I do a lot of rapporteuring, moderating and facilitating regionally, locally and globally on issues of gender equity and equality, and issues on climate change and issues on digital safety for journalists, and also for female aspirants, political aspirants, especially in the region of Africa. I'm here because we were looking at nature crimes, and I was connecting that with digital safety for journalists. How it connects is this. Nature crimes are very sensitive, also because they are very lucrative. The people who get involved in them earn a lot of money. Anything that is lucrative is going to be dangerous if you're trying to unearth what makes it ill. You know, the people who participate in that don't want to be seen or heard. They want to do it, but they don't want to be seen or heard. And journalists are forever in the middle of that, trying to unearth and make sure that things are known. And these things are very dangerous. And so that is how now digital safety comes in, because they use a lot of they're called equipments, their tools, the laptops, the phones, everything they're using. And one of the things that I have noticed is that a lot of journalists need to understand digital safety and keep it at the forefront. So what happens is we are not aware of what we are doing. It is when we get into trouble that we remember what we are doing. It is better to be in the defense or on the defense than wait for you to be attacked. Get safe, quick and fast. And that is by learning a lot on digital safety.
My name is Nancy Kering. I work for Citizen TV as a reporter in Kajiado County. It's very important to talk about these nature crimes, especially in Kajiado County, whereby the community are coexisting with the wildlife, especially in Kajiado South. That's Amboseli National Park, Chulu, and even Savo. The training has been impactful because I didn't know that you can do an investigative story, especially on nature. I knew that you can just do investigative story on crimes like drug abuse, drug trafficking. Yeah. So I've learned it has been impactful, especially to me. And I've added some knowledge in investigating on wildlife, and I can't just do flat story or the normal stories again. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Quintanelia Kambula. I am a consultant psychologist, a survivor of TFGBV, and founder Girls for Girls Africa Mental Health Foundation, a survivor-led NGO that supports survivors access mental health care in Mombasa, Kilifi, Taita, and Kwale. I'm happy today to be facilitating a mental health session for the journalists with the AMWIK. I'm happy to actually see that finally we are starting to pay attention, especially to the first responders. A lot of times the journalists struggle with compassion fatigue, burnout, and of course covering those traumatizing stories that actually takes a toll on their mental health. It's important that even as journalists, they need to first pour into their cup by taking care of their mental health, by making sure that actually they're okay mentally, that they're checking in with one another, having debriefing sessions, seeing a therapist, and working on their mental health before they're able to actually deliver better results. Today, during the session, we've learned coping strategies on how to identify stress, how to identify burnout, and how to actually manage it. Today, they've also built a resilient toolkit that is going to help them even as they go to the field to report some of the traumatizing stories that they get to tell us on our TVs. I'm happy, and I'm happy that more organizations will join hands with AMWIK and G4G Africa in raising awareness around mental health and building the journalist resilience in supporting them mentally and supporting them actually access care that they need to give better stories. Thank you.